I did my very first webinar, and let me just say, it was a mix of wins, lessons, and a whole bunch of figuring out stuff. So, if you're preparing for your very first webinar, stick around because I'm going to share with you what went well, what didn't go well, how I prepared for it, and what my biggest lessons were when it comes to popping my cherry, when it comes to creating my very first webinar. Hey there, welcome back to my channel where I help beginner coaches scale to four figures faster. And today I'm going to talk to you all about basically behind the scenes of my very first webinar. And in this video, I'm going to break it down into four parts: how I prepared for it, what I thought went well, what didn't go well, and then what my biggest lessons were from it and what I'm going to take into my next webinar. All right, so now let's get right into the video. So step one is I'm going to get into how I prepare for my webinar. I started creating buzz, or I started promoting my webinar a week in advance on all of my social media platforms, which were Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and my school community. I also was reaching out to people individually who I thought was going to be a good fit. I definitely got a couple of people saying that they were going to attend the webinar based off of me reaching out to them in the DMs. And when it comes to what I was posting on my social media platforms, I went the route of just giving educational tips that were around the same topics of what I was going to talk about. And so I thought that was the best way to go, just because I do have a small audience online. And so I wanted to build the trust before they came to the webinar. And so I got a couple, I'm not going to say a couple, I think one person commented on my post saying that they were interested and wanted the link. And so that was a win for me. The other thing that I did was the day of, I actually went live on Instagram about 30 minutes prior to the start. Now shifting gears to talk about what went well. So overall, I would say the webinar was smooth. I delivered the content. I was making sure that I was engaging with the attendees. The attendees were even responding in the chat as well. So overall, it went well. I will say though, I never expected to stumble over my words when it comes to the selling part. That part was a little bit harder for me than I expected. I've been to webinars before, I've attended them, and of course people make it seem so easy to sell on the stage or on that platform of a webinar. And so when it was my turn to do it, I was definitely nervous, but I'm honestly happy that I did it. Speaking at a webinar is not my natural form at all. And so doing something outside of my comfort zone is something that I'm really committing to doing the rest of the year going into next year, because growth happens when you are outside of your comfort zone. And that is really what I desire at this point in my life, is to really grow. Honestly, I hope that I stay that way, obviously, having a growth mindset. But I'm really intentional right now in my life to really push myself past that comfort zone. Now, this is the juicy part. What went wrong? Man, a lot of rookie mistakes. I assumed that things were going to go well when it comes to the tech aspect of it, but again, a rookie mistake. So what happened was I was planning on going live on YouTube, and I integrated Zoom to automatically start streaming on YouTube as soon as I started my meeting. Thought I had that all planned out. I went on YouTube. I got the stream key, the stream link. I integrated, I put it all into Zoom, and I thought everything was all planned out. And then I do have Fathom, if you're not familiar with Fathom, it's a tool that integrates with Zoom, and as soon as you open a meeting, it automatically records your meeting for you. So you don't have to push a button. It's literally automated. So when I opened my meeting, I didn't expect nothing of it. Everything was just working like it was expected. After the meeting is where I found out none of that happened. I went on YouTube to see if it went live because I'm thinking that I might have to turn off the live on YouTube. Come to find out, it never even started. Then when it comes to Fathom, actually I contact my husband to forward me the link essentially because he gets all the emails from Fathom. And he tells me that he never got an email of the recording and Fathom was never in the meeting. All in all, those were all rookie mistakes. What I didn't do though is I did not test any of that out prior to the webinar. I essentially went in just naive, oblivious. You would think that I would not take that route. I work in IT. I know how tech is. I'm not the most technical at all. However, I know what these tools do when it comes to when you need things to work, and it never goes as planned. And so, definitely biggest lesson learned. I'm not going to have that happen ever again. Now, step 4, wrapping up this video, let's get into my biggest takeaways. And so, number 1, I will say that I am going to continue to promote very early. I thought that went well. I'm probably going to go a bit harder the next time, maybe posting a couple of times a day, not just only one day. And I'm also going to post like at different times as well. I don't know if that does anything as far as if it gets more views or anything like that, but just to mix it up a bit. And then also not just do educational tips, right? But also maybe do something more casual or funny or something like that. So that's my first lesson. Second thing I will say, of course, test everything out prior to do a dry run. Out the tech, make sure that the integrations are all there and working correctly. So by the time that you do have the webinar, it is seamless and working just like you have planned. And honestly, the biggest thing is making sure you just have that recording, because back, I really do wish that I had that replay so that I can post it into my community and even on YouTube as well. And then the third thing I will say, continue doing things that take me outside of my comfort zone. Overall, I'll say my webinar was a success. I showed up, was there, and I knocked it out of the park. And I want to encourage you that if you are on the fence and you're just nervous of doing your very first one, honestly, just do it. Because if you start now, you can only get better. It's not meant to be perfect your very first one. You're going to make mistakes. Time is right now to do your very first webinar. Now, let me know in the comments, have you hosted your first webinar before? I love to hear your stories in the comments. How did it go? What lessons did you learn? Did you have any big oopsies like I did? Let me know in the comments. But if you are a beginner coach, subscribe to my channel because you will get more tips on how to grow your business and also more behind the scenes into a business. So I will check you in the next video.